Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is great to have you with me. It'd be greater if our team could just get a W for a change. I mean, is that so much to ask? I mean, the last time we actually saw the Minnesota Vikings win a game was in Soldier Field in an utterly meaningless game before the playoffs last season. But that's all right. That's all right. Win or lose, we support our team and we love our team. And sometimes loving your team means you got to give them tough love. And sometimes you have to say things that you don't want to say. And more importantly, you have to hear things you don't want to hear. And I know some people get turned off by that. No, ducky and bunny it up. We can still make the playoffs. We can still make a run in this NFC. Okay, you're entitled to that opinion. That's the great thing about America. Everybody has an opinion. And the other thing that's great about America is you're not listening to it. As the late, great Denny Green once said. Denny Green's already been mentioned in the chat so far. We'll get to that in just a second. But shout out to everybody in the building on a Monday night after once again the Vikings outdid themselves, shot themselves in the foot. They out-Chargers the Chargers. No, they just Vikinged. They just Vikinged. It's as simple as that. We don't need to compare ourselves to another team that has a tendency to shoot itself in the foot and find ridiculous ways to lose a football game and say we did what they normally do. Well, no, we did what we normally do. That's just how it is right now. Let's get to some shout outs. I know we got people in the building. We got my guy T-Bass. What is going on? This is what happens when you hire head coaches with no coaching experience. Well, there's that. You know, that's the catch-22. Do you hire somebody who already has coaching experience, which by definition means he's already been fired? Or do you go with a guy that's never had a head coaching experience before? I don't know. At the end of the day, we got some topics that are going to clarify some of this, but you make up an excellent point, T-Bass, right here. One of the things in common with Dennis Green and Bud Grant, they both had prior head coaching experience. They didn't call plays, organize, and ran the entire team. That's the comment of the night, and that was put in at 3:30 this afternoon. So y'all got some work to do to catch up to T-Bass. He's coming in hot and heavy. Shout out to my guy Dave from Minnesota Sports Talk. Great show as always tonight with you and Tyler. If y'all didn't have a chance to check that out after my show, go do that. SKOL for Life is in the building. What's going on, SKOL for Life? Good to see you. My guy Gary, what's going on? SKOL mates it is. Good, bad, or indifferent. We riding with this team regardless. You are correct. So that kid in the building says T-Bass got a very solid point. I absolutely agree with him as well. Let's see who else we got in here. SKOL Mafia is in the building. SKOL Mafia was on vacation last week. That's why you didn't see him in anybody's chats. After a while, I was like, oh, that's right. He's on vacation. So he had vacation week 1 coming into town for SKOL Fest. And then he had another vacation. It's good to be SKOL Mafia. But shout out SKOL Mafia. Great to have you with me tonight. Greg, what's going on? Thanks for joining. G-Max72 is in the house. What's going on? What's going on? We got Sarah in the building. Man, ain't nobody care about your fantasy. I'm just playing with you, Sarah. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. How's your sister doing? I hope she's doing better. What's going on here? We got the McAndrews in the building. What's going on, McAndrews? Shout out, McAndrews. Thanks again for joining. I appreciate it. We got a house call from the doctor. Good evening to you as well. Good evening to Dave. Another Dave. I hope we can win a game. Another Dave. What's up, Dave T? Thanks for joining. Appreciate you, boss. Appreciate you. We got Kyle in the building. Kyle had a great show this evening as well. He went a little bit earlier, so go check him out on Purple People Podcast. Go give my guy a sub. Go check out his show tonight. He had some interesting rants. You know, it's a very common theme. We had Tyler with his rant on Vikings First and SKOL. We have my guy Kyle here with his rant on Purple People Podcast. Rhino's rants went for almost an hour. He was ranting. And oh, by the way, if you didn't see GG Sports Talk tonight, you should have seen Casey. He tried to get off of his rant about 2 or 3 times. He just kept going back to it. But that's all right. That's what we're going to do here tonight, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. My worthless opinion, the single greatest YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, WhatsApp, and every other social media handle you could ever find. You will not find one greater than one My Worthless Opinion, because your opinions are never worthless, and certainly not on my show. That is for dang Skippy. Bandito in the building. What's going on? Fire Riot and Griggs again. Well, there's something to be said there. You're either on to something or you're on something, Bandino, and according to my sources, you're definitely on to something. But shout out Bandino. Thanks for joining me as well. We've got Cavalier Panda 50, what's going on? Has anyone heard the thing that Coach O'Connell said? Well, he said a lot, so be more specific because I've heard a few things, and I'm going to talk about a few things tonight. That's for dang sure as well. What's up to my guy, Mateo? Mateo in the house. What's going on, man? The Vikings are who they thought they were, and you won't let them off the hook. And you know what? Neither will I. Some people are not going to like what I have to say tonight, and I hope that doesn't turn people off. I hope you hear what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to be negative, not trying to be anything other than I'm keeping it real tonight. How about No's in the house? What's going on? How about No? Good to see you. Thank you so kindly for joining. Dylan is in the building. What's going on? It's getting out of hand. Pun intended. I like that, Dylan. I wish I had thought of that for one of my screen grabs earlier here, but that's all right. But that you ain't lying. You are not lying. My brother, Purple Pocket Podcast. Rap is in the building. If you don't already sub up Purple Pocket Podcast, hit up my boy. We had a great show last evening. We had over 100 people in the building on both of our channels on Rapping for Days, which is our post-game show at 8 o'clock Central Time every Sunday night. So if y'all missed it, go check it out. And either way, come on back next week because it's going to get salty again. Like last night, me and Rap were salty. Last night we were spicy. Tonight, I'm going to be salty. We got my nephew, JJ Vikings, in the building. What's going on? All right. So if I was going to accidentally drop something, I guess I'm going to have to keep it clean because I got my nephew in the building. We got my nephew in the building. Mick is in the building. What's going on? Time to blow this team up. Enough is enough. Yeah, that might be one or two of the themes tonight here, Mick. So you are absolutely onto something there. Absolutely. With Dustin Baker, I have no idea where they go from here. Well, I do. I have a couple of ideas, neither of which the Vikings are actually going to go, but I have a couple of ideas where they could go. I'm going to get the rest of these shouts in here, and then I'm going to get to my opening monologue. What's up in the Zone podcast? Oh, it was great to be on with you guys yesterday when y'all did your post-game show. Check it out on In the Zone podcast. That was extra spicy. And I tell you what, some of that rant I had last night might make an appearance tonight. Shout out to my guy Rap who gave me the first super chat. He put F Kirk in there. Shout out to Purple Pocket Podcast for the $9.99 super chat. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. At long last, super chats are open. I wasn't going to say it until somebody did it because, I ain't too proud to beg. But at the same time, you know what? My boy hooked me up more than once, so I got to give him this.
I give you two claps and a Ric Flair.
Yes, indeed. Shout out one more time to my guy.
Give you two claps and a Ric Flair.
I'm a rookie at this, y'all. Got to get the kinks out. Shout out SKOL Mafia in the building with the $19.99 super chat with the F Kirk twice. You know what? Just for that, we going to give you this. We're going to give you another one. And we're going to give you this.
I give you two claps and a Ric Flair.
You get both of them, SKOL Mafia. That's the only ones I got so far. I got to get working on getting some more of those. But shout out to SKOL Mafia for the $19.99 super chat. I appreciate you. We got Darian in the building. What's going on? The Vikings don't blow stuff up. That is correct. And I'm going to touch on that. And that's the thing. Steal it. I won't tell nobody. I appreciate you. Let's see here. Let's get the super chat up there for Bandino in the building with the $10 super chat. Sink our ship. You telling me KOC hasn't started tanking for us with the situational mastery? Again, that's going to be on the list. I'm going to get to that. Shout out Bandino in the building with the $10 super chat. I appreciate y'all. It is very, very humbling that I'm at this point where y'all absolutely donating to. I appreciate you so very, very much. But let's take the banner down because we have our traditions that we must always adhere to. So let's take that one down and let's put this one up. As much as we shout out all the people in the building when y'all get here and when y'all donate to me, I appreciate that. There's other people in this world that we have to shout out, and we do that at the beginning of every show. To all the active and veteran members of our armed forces who have sacrificed either their lives or their livelihood or their well-beings to give us all of the freedoms that we enjoy and sometimes take for granted every day, to make this the greatest nation in the world, we shout you out and say thank you to the brave men and women who put their lives on the line as firefighters, police officers, EMS, who in times of tragedy are the ones running towards the danger to help the rest of us get away from it. We shout you out as well. To the doctors, nurses, frontline workers, home health care workers, and anybody that takes care of people when they are sick or in need of medical attention, thank you so very, very much for everything that you do. The men and women that I have named here tonight and that I name every time I go live oftentimes work thankless jobs, and we do not thank them enough. So as long as I got 30 people in the building, or if I got 2 people in the building, if I got a microphone and somebody listening, I'm going to say thank you to those people. I hope that nobody takes it as grandstanding, because it's not. It is just simply to say thank you for the people that allow us to enjoy our lives, enjoy our way of life, and enjoy all the freedoms that we have in this country. So thank you kindly to all of those men and women that I just named. Thank you so very, very kindly. We appreciate you. I can't even get to my things because I got to keep doing some shout outs. And you know what? We'll be here all night if we have to. We'll be here all night. Shout out to My Worthless Opinion, who said, I got a $5 peer pressure donation. Hey, I'll take them any way I can get them. Worthless, I appreciate you so very much. Shout out to Joker Nation in the building. What's going on? Ice-T for days. You know, Rap gave me that as a joke and it's never died. And apparently I just need to accept it. Yes, that is actually a different Ric Flair woo. I didn't want to steal the exact one that our brother Rap had, but yes, absolutely it is. So for My Worthless Opinion, we got to get you one as well. I just got to remember how to navigate this whole thing. Come on,
I give you 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
There we go. There we go. I know I saw one more. Who else is in the building with me tonight? How about No with the $5 super chat? I appreciate you. How about No? I appreciate you. Let's get you the horn. In fact, let's get you the double horn. There we go. There we go. Thank you kindly. I very much appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all so very, very much. Now, I done lost track because I know I got some more people in the building. I got to get shouted out here. Gary says, bring on the rant. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. And lots of them, by the way. Lots of them. I got to get this comment up here. Kirk is supposedly the leader of this team, yet he don't act like it. When the team is done and dejected, this bum has no leadership skills. Well, you know what? Is that really Kirk's problem, or is it our problem for tolerating it? Is it our problem for signing him to the contract and then the extension and then the extension? I'm going to get to. You all saw that thumbnail. It's accountability. I didn't put Kirk Cousins on that. I put Ziggy and Mark Wilf, and I put KOC and Kwesi, because they're the ones who need to be held accountable. Rap started another wave. That's why he's SKOL Purple Go for life. There you go. There you go. Shout out to SKOL TYA in the building. What's going on, Curtis? Good to see you. Good to see you. Appreciate you. Another shout out to Gary for the $9.99 super chat. Let's get some more noise.
I give you 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
I appreciate you for Papa Gary. I appreciate you so very, very much. Thank you kindly. All right. Ice-T will never die. Rap knew what he was doing. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. I appreciate you, nephew. Thank you for the kind words. Where would we be without them? God bless. You are absolutely correct. Yeah, no, that's right. I'm gonna actually start that when I get back. I'm gonna start that when I get back. All right. Time to get some rants on. Appreciate you guys so very, very much. You do not know how humbled I am. You honestly don't. And if there was a way I could express how humbled this makes me, I would. But let's get down to business. You're going to see some Spider-Man memes tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And why? Because everybody's pointing at everybody. And the fan base is all pointing in different directions. And what's funny about this fan base is that why is it we have to point in one direction? We're going to get all the directions here tonight. Stop turning the ball over. Football 101. Whoever wins the turnover battle has an 85% chance of winning, regardless of which team is better, which team has the better quarterback, which team has the better players. It don't matter. If you do not stop turning the ball over, you're not going to win a game, much less be competitive for anything other than maybe the number 1 pick. TJ Hawkinson, you done missed all of training camp because you had a backache and an ear infection, which we all know was a bologna sandwich. You were just holding out to get your contract done without getting fined. And I don't blame you for that. But at the end of the day, TJ Hawkinson, I'm sorry. That fumble is inexcusable. Kirk Cousins hit you between that 8 and 7. I'm not going to say nothing bad about Kirk on that play. That's for daggone sure, because he put it in the right spot. You know, that first week interception on the goal line with under 2 minutes against Tampa Bay, you could make the argument that maybe Kirk could have placed the ball better. Not yesterday. That is 100% on TJ Hawkinson. I get it. You're a tight end. You got guys about to hit you, and that did hit you, but you got to hold on to that ball. Your defense gave you a 3 and out. You got the ball. You're moving the ball down the field, and boom, fumble, turnover. And you knew right then and there, oh no, here we go again. Alexander Mattison, love you, bro. And what you had to endure last week was another bologna sandwich. I'm not going to give that any more clout because it was ridiculous. But we got rid of Dalvin Cook because they believed in you, bro. And I endorsed getting rid of Dalvin Cook, said that Alexander Mattison was ready to be the head of a committee. It's clear that Alexander Mattison is not a number one running back. So what are we to make of this? Well, last week I said you need to give Alexander Mattison more carries. You need to get him into a rhythm. You need to lather him up, and you need to make sure that you're not just giving him either 8 or 11 carries. And they came out and they tried establishing the run. And for the most part, they did a good job. Didn't like the fact that Justin Jefferson didn't get a pass thrown to him until the middle of the second quarter. But, Alexander, you got to hold on to the ball. And realistically, you should have had at least one fumble yesterday. The one that they took back saying your forward progress was stopped was a chintzy call. Now, I don't care that the Vikings, my team, benefited from it. It was a chintzy call. And if the roles had been reversed and we had gotten a fumble and it was ruled in not a fumble, his forward progress had been stopped, we would have been outraged by it. We got away with one yesterday. Alexander, we have too many nightmares of Adrian Peterson with fumbles, which was ridiculous considering. Did you know that Adrian Peterson had really strong hands? Like if you ever shook his hand? Yeah. Okay. In all seriousness, Alexander Mattison, TJ Hawkinson, all of you guys on the Vikings offense, stop turning the ball over. You should realistically be 2-1, and you could even argue 3-0 if you hadn't turned the ball over. Now, turnovers are part of the game, but you are averaging like what, 2.5, 3 turnovers a game so far? That's ridiculous. That is high school level. That's not junior that's not college level. That's not bad NFL level. That is high school level, ladies and gentlemen. We got to stop turning the ball over. And I'm not going to put it on any one person. I'm not going to put it on just on Kirk. I'm not going to put it on just on TJ Hawkinson or Alexander Mattison. But what I am going to put it on is head coach Kevin O'Connell. Y'all went to Amazon to buy these dipsy doodle stick pointers, and we're just walking around the facility, walking around practice, hitting guys. What the hell good did that do you? Seriously? You bought some poker sticks? What do you take those off and use them as when you're making s'mores at a campfire? Hey, we got some poker sticks here because that's going to help our guys not fumble the daggone ball. Give me a break. The offense contributes 75% of this team's talent, and it's not contributing the equal amount of production. You're moving the ball. Yeah, again, yardage-wise, 475 yards on offense yesterday. Oh, what a great performance. 24 points. Just keep fumbling the ball. And it's not a one-week thing. All 3 weeks, you have turned the ball over multiple times. Multiple times you've turned the ball over. This is not an NFL out. This is not an NFL outfit. Excuse me. This is not an NFL outfit when you can't limit your turnovers. And by the way, 2 of your first 3 games have been at home. You got 1 extra road game this season. What's going to happen when you get on the road? You can't hang on to the football. You can't win a game at home so far. Turning the ball over. You think you're going to go on the road and win? I'm sorry, but this has got to get cleaned up, and this has got to get cleaned up like real quick. Otherwise, this is going to be a long season. This is going to be a long set of Monday nights and Sunday nights and Sunday mornings and all the other channels that we affiliated with. Holy cow. Stop the turnovers. Stop the cap, as they say. Stop the cap. We appreciate what you do, bring us all together, your insights, your pitch. Hey, I appreciate you. How about no? I appreciate you. This fan base has a weird obsession with old veterans. You ain't lying. You are not lying. Rap, counting on you to bring it tonight, but there you go. There you go. Let's get some more comments in here. There was 1 or 2. I thought I saw 1 or 2 more people. I ain't shout out yet. Oh, I guess I didn't. I know a lot of you guys are saying thank you and hello to each other, so I'm going to not focus so much on putting up every single comment, but I like it. Excuses. You right, Joker. You are absolutely right. Sarah, spot on. That many fumbles in a 2-game span is unacceptable. You are correct. Dylan says, can we trade Alexander Mattison and run with Akers and Chandler? I don't know that. Because here's the thing, I was willing to give Alexander Madison the benefit of the doubt to the first 2 weeks because, again, he only had 11 and 8 carries respectively. And again, this offensive line is doing him no favors. But at some point, Alexander's got to hold on to the football. I mean, if you get blindsided because your offensive line didn't block you, that's one thing. But he's just putting the ball on the carpet. He's got to get better. We all got to get better. We turning the ball over way too much. Way the heck too much. But I digress. Next Spider-Man meme. Wait, Brian Flores and Ed Donashell? Yeah. This defense is different, but it's no better. And I'm not surprised. It was real easy last year to toss dirt at Ed Donashell and say, he's garbage. He's terrible. He's too 1985 to be a good defensive coordinator. We all saw the problems. He's not bringing any pressure. He's just sitting back and letting the team get picked apart. And a lot of that was true. I'm not saying none of it was true. But what I am saying is this. It was real easy when Donashell got fired to put all the blame on him. And some of us said, well, did we consider maybe that the personnel on defense didn't fit the system? Yes. And did we also consider that maybe the personnel just isn't any good? We got rid of Eric Hendricks, one of our leaders on defense. We didn't bring back Patrick Peterson because we were salary cap strapped. What do we have on defense right now, ladies and gentlemen? We have Danielle Hunter, we got Ivan Pace, we got Josh Metellus, and we've got an okay Harrison Smith. That's it. That is it. Dean Lowry is garbage. I'm sorry. When we signed him from the Green Bay Packers, I immediately said, are we getting Kenny Clark too? Because to me, Dean Lowry got what he got in Green Bay because he's on a line with Preston Smith, Kenny Clark, and previous to that, Zadarius Smith. He's worse than DJ Wanham, and DJ Wanham is just a guy. DJ Wanham had a stretch where he got like 8 or 9 sacks in about a 7-week stretch because he was just playing cleanup duty. You've heard me give that rant before, but the point I'm making here is this. DJ Wanham is better than this Lowry guy. He literally doesn't even take up space. He's not doing anything. What do you have on the defense line? Now, I had thrown my support behind Tyrus Tonga. I thought Tyrus Tonga was going to be a little bit more. You need to get Jaquelin Roy in the starting lineup, and he needs to be in the starting lineup for the rest of the season as far as I'm concerned. Shout out to Dave. Yeah, you're right. I did also forget about Cam Bynum. Let's throw Cam Bynum in that mix too. But all I'm going to say is this. Brian Flores, when we hired him, what did we say? Oh, this guy, he's going to blitz up and down, bring the pressure, bring the aggressiveness. That's true, and he has. And what's the result been? Not all that much different. I think we've got, 1 or 2 turnovers? Help me out. 1 or 2? Okay, great. All those blitzes yesterday, and not one of them got home. You got 1 sack because Danielle Hunter swiped the ball down and goes down as a strip sack, and that counts. And Danielle Hunter is the only thing on this defensive line that is worth a darn right now. Seriously. And I don't even want to hear about, and I don't even want to talk about bringing in Akeem Hicks. What's Akeem Hicks going to do at this point? It's the personnel too. Brian Flores is better than Ed Donashell. Absolutely he is, because he's at least going down swinging. But I said it all summer long, and I said it the first couple of weeks. The difference between Ed Donashell and Brian Flores is going to be simply this. Brian Flores is at least going to swing. He's at least going to blitz, but we ain't getting home. And if we ain't getting home, then it's almost detrimental to the idea. Justin Herbert yesterday, he invited the blitz. Why? Because it took guys out of the pass coverage. There would be times he'd be looking at a blitzer come right at him, just sidestep a little bit, toss it right over his head. I mean, honestly, 3rd and 17 to Keenan Allen. Oh my gosh. Like seriously, 3rd and 17. And we couldn't get any pressure on him. And the little pressure we got at the end, he just sidestepped and threw right over his head. My goodness, we are in deep doo-doo if we can't figure out a way to not only get pressure without blitzing, but we're not even getting home on the blitz. What are we going to do for the next 14 games if we cannot get home on the blitz? I know Justin Herbert's a very good quarterback. Some people say he's overrated. I'm not going to get into the Justin Herbert because this is not a podcast for the Los Angeles Chargers of San Diego. But my goodness, that kid got the ball out quick. He knew what was coming. It's like he knew every single time we were about to blitz. We never got near him. Holy cow. He's got a cannon for an arm. And yeah, last year we got a lot of breaks. Our defense got turnovers. But man, oh man, every tip drill went against us yesterday. The tip drill where it hits a Caleb Evans in his hands and then bounces off his helmet into the waiting arms of a Chargers wide receiver for the game-winning touchdown. That went their way. The other thing that went their way, tip drill at the end of the game. That went their way. Oh, and another tip drill where Addison didn't quite bring it in on a tip drill. We were 0 for 3 yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. 0 for 3. You know what? Good teams make luck. We don't rely on luck because good teams just have it. This team is just soft all the way around. It's soft on the offensive line, particularly the interior. It's soft on the defensive line. It's soft in the secondary. Well, I wouldn't say secondary. The safeties aren't soft, and certainly Ivan Pace Jr. is not soft. But realistically, by and large, this team is soft. And at the end of the day, if you thought, I remember talking this offseason, you know what? Our offense was a top 10 offense, and we replaced Adam Thielen with Jordan Addison, so we can be at least as good, if not better, than what we were last year. We just need the defense to be average, and Brian Flores is just going to have to make our defense average. Well, guess what? We're not average. We're just as bad. The ways and means are a little bit different because on occasion, we're at least trying to sack the quarterback. And yeah, they did a really good job containing Jalen Hurts at the sacrifice of the run game where what's-his-face almost went for 200 yards against him, Swift, not Taylor. But side note, we're just going to need to accept that this team just does not have a whole lot of talent. I'm going to get to the other side of the ball here in a few moments, but my oh my, this defense is no better than it was last year. It's just the ways and means that are different. All right, time to get some comments in here. I've left you guys out for a minute or two here. And by the way, I forgot to turn my music back on. I'm only going to have this go for. I'm not going to go and have it go continuously. But what do you guys think? Tell me, are we any better defensively than we were last year? Are we any better? I get it. We're trying to be better, but there's only so much that a chef can do with the ingredients that he's got. And right now, we just don't have the ingredients on defense other than the guys that I mentioned. What up, Drop Shot? This fan base is the weirdest. Oh yeah, I read that one already. My bad. So one thing I don't like about this is it doesn't leave me where I was before. I'm gonna get to that comment about the fans. What's up, Skull? Shout out Skolden in the building. What's going on, Skolden? I appreciate you swinging on by. I do very much appreciate you, boss. I appreciate you a lot. Just a reminder, Quasi sat in the dark, watch taped on Evans. Evans is a Quasi guy. That's all you need to know. Just like everybody not named Hunter Face. Yeah, for some of you said that. Had more sacks last year than this year at this point in the season. Yeah, I agree. Dave says, no, we're not. I can't really disagree with you. GMS to stop being huge, stop shop arguing. You know, I was going to say that to you, Kyle, but I had to get going for my first show tonight. I'm going to separate Quasi. You know what? I'm going to save that when I get to the Quasi topic. So I'm going to come back to that one in a second. The difference is last year the D was well-timed turnovers. Yes, that's literally it. And that masked how bad they were for the first half of the season. And then when the turnovers dried up, all of a sudden, they're bad defense. Address the offensive line. Well, there is that. They've tried, though. All 5 of their guys are first or second round draft picks. They just got shoved in there too early. Oh, is it? All right, Dylan. Appreciate you. Davin Poop was a mistake. I'm done with that dude. I'm so over that guy. Sitting there all smiling and happy. Oh, I hope I get to play sometime soon. Oh my gosh, get out of here. You can miss me with that mess. That was a bad signing. We're going to get there, but can't make lemonade with apples. It's the players, yes. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't see that you guys were telling me that I was going in and out. So Mateo says Quasi needs to go back up to Wall Street. 21 coughed up a game changer. Yeah. You are correct. Honestly, it's so frustrating because this team is better than what they played with. So I'm not saying that they're a good team. They're just an okay team. But at the same time, they're not this bad. They are not as bad as the Chicago Bears and the Denver Broncos. But they should be better than this. I'm sorry that I don't have as much energy right now because thank you, Dylan. I appreciate that. Like I said before, Davenport is Robin. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he absolutely is. All right, time for some more memes and time for some more. Who are we going to hold accountable here tonight? I wasn't going to start with Kirk Cousins, but I wasn't going to leave him out of this mess because he is absolutely part of this mess. Is he a whole mess? No, he's not. I'm not saying that Kirk Cousins is the whole mess, but I'm also not listening to anybody who says we can't talk anything about Kirk Cousins that's non-positive. Final drive of the game. Actually, final drive of the first half. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of time left after they scored. And yes, if you had spiked the ball at the end of the second quarter, you would have had a shot to get off a Hail Mary pass. I remember a few years ago at the end of the first half in the Detroit game, Kirk Cousins hit Kyle Rudolph, the guy we honored yesterday at US Bank Stadium, hit him on a touchdown on a Hail Mary. You spike the ball, you let your guys catch their breath, and you figure out what kind of pass protection and which way you're going to roll and which side are you going to put the three wide receivers and which side you're going to put the one down. And instead, it was a Chinese fire drill, Keystone Cops. It's like, Kirk, spike the ball. Now, I was willing to let that one go because it's like, all right, we didn't get a chance for a Hail Mary at the end of the first half. At the end of the game, your defense gets you a stop on 4th and 1. It was the right call to go for it on 4th and 1. Terrible play call. Just have Herbert do a quarterback sneak. The guy's 6'4". I cannot believe they handed the ball off. But I digress. You get the ball at the 25-yard line with over a minute left and no timeouts. That is where you get the ball in overtime in college. 25-yard line, and you couldn't put it in the end zone. Okay, so we had some injuries to Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. You had to lose 5 seconds and 5 yards because you took in a couple extra because you had injury timeouts. You didn't have any timeouts. Okay, fine. You convert on the 4th and 5, and you get down to the 6-yard line, and there's 41 seconds left. You got this. Okay, Kirk O'Chains is in the building, just like last year. Didn't play all that well at times during the game, but you are in position to win this game in this critical situation. You're in position to win the football game. For the podcasting audience, this is me with my hands over my ears like Kirk did with over his head, over his helmet. Oh, I was trying to hear what the coach was calling the play. First of all, you should know, as a decade plus in the NFL, particularly as a starter, you should know that when you convert on 4th down to the 6-yard line to spike the ball immediately, you should not need Kevin O'Connell, as Jade adroitly calls him. You shouldn't need to be coddled in that situation. You are not Anthony Richardson. You are not CJ Stroud. You are not Bryce Young. You are not a second-year quarterback. You're Kirk O'Chain, supposedly. You are a veteran. Some call you a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and you're looking towards the sidelines to get the play. You should know in junior varsity high school football, in that scenario, you spike the ball. You kill the clock. You allow your teammates to catch their breath. This bull crap about how, on one hand, Kirk Cousins was asked in this press conference, are you allowed to call the play? Are you allowed to do stuff? He's like, yeah, I'm allowed to do anything I want. And what I wanted to do at that point was to listen to my head coach, because I can't take ownership of anything. And I can't do something without being told what to do, because there are consequences. And if I make the wrong call and it ends up going bad, oh, well, then I'll have to listen to my head coach tell me I did something wrong. Are you serious, dude? And then you have the audacity, the sheer audacity, Kirk Cousins, to bring up that in the Buffalo game, when you had it 4th and goal from the half-yard line and you couldn't quarterback sneak it in, and O'Connell said to you, I was trying to call a timeout to give you a play, you're going to invoke the Buffalo game and say, see, the last time I did this without permission from my head coach, I got yelled at. Well, you didn't get yelled at. You just got questioned as to what were you thinking. Clearly, you haven't learned any lessons, Kirk, and you clearly never will. And that's just who you are. And at this point, I'm just willing to live with it, because what else are we going to do? Kirk is who he is. He's a robot. He's a computer. He goes with his pre-programmed scenario. Whatever scenario is programmed into his brain, that's what he's going with. He does not have the ability to think on the fly, whether it's during a play, in the pocket, when the pocket's collapsing, or in a situation like that. I'm just the guy who works here. I don't make decisions. I'm not the supervisor. I'm just the worker bee who answers the phone in a call center, even though I'm getting paid $185 million over 6 years. I'm not a decision maker here. Seriously, Kirk. And I don't want to hear this absolute nonsense about how the crowd was too loud. What happens when you convert a fourth down on the road and the road team, the home team that you're playing, your opponent's home crowd is yelling and screaming? Are you going to say, oh, well, the crowd was loud? The audacity that you made fans now sit through 3 games and you are the quarterback of this team. And you're going to say that the fans made too much noise after we converted on fourth down. Oh my gosh. I'm done with you. I'm just straight done with you right now, dude. You're a good dude. You're a good human being. Oh my goodness. You should know to not be lollygagging around. And after about a second and a half, if you haven't heard what the coach is trying to say, you go up there and you say, kill, spiking the ball. Everybody gets set. We can't lose 10 seconds off the clock. We can't lose 5 yards. Everybody gets set. All right. So now it's second down and you got 30 seconds left. Well, we were trying to get 4 plays off. Shut up. No, you weren't. I'm sorry. And let me say this. That is part of that on Kevin O'Connell too. Yes, it is. And I'll tell you why. He should know that he's going to have to babysit and hold hands with Kirk Cousins for as long as he's got him. He's just going to have to know that. Kevin O'Connell, you should have been doing this. You should have been trying to speak to him. You shouldn't have been trying to speak to him. And Kevin O'Connell, I got stuff for him too. His play calling over the first 3 games, ridiculous. Let's get back to the running game that we talked about a little bit earlier. I said you need to get Alexander Mattison the ball more. We all did. You want to establish the run. Okay. You want to be more balanced. Okay. I can listen to that. But the pendulum swung too far the other way, where you're now trying to jam Alexander Mattison down our throats against the worst ranked defense in the NFL going into the week. The worst yardage and the worst in passing yards. I understand you want to get the run game going. I understand you want to get Alexander Mattison lathered up. That's what I said. But you had 4 targets to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison in the first half collectively. There is no reason at all that Justin Jefferson shouldn't be targeted through the first quarter. I get it. They only had the first possession, which ultimately ended up in the TJ Hawkinson fumble. And by the time they got the ball back the second time, there was only a couple of minutes left in the quarter. I don't care. I do not care. It is unfathomable to me how I did it. It's unfathomable to me how the Los Angeles Chargers managed to target Keenan Allen 20 times for 18 catches and over 200 yards. How in the world you don't do the same thing for Justin Jefferson, or at least partial of that? I don't know, 80% of that. Instead of 20 targets, give him 16. I don't care. But to not give him a target and to only give him and Addison 4 targets total between the two of them for the first half is inexcusable. I know that there's a lot of this fan base that doesn't want to put any blame on Kirk Cousins, and they want to blame KOC. And KOC deserves a lot of heat. And I've been harping on him all 3 weeks. All 3 weeks, I've been harping on KOC. This team is disorganized. It is nothing short of chaos, where you have offensive linemen with false starts in your own building, jumping off sides or lining up offsides on field goal attempts, holding penalties, just completely disorganized at times. It is unfathomable to me that this team can be so disorganized at times and yet still put up 475 yards. What would they be doing if they had, I don't know, half the organization that they should? Just half? I mean, honestly, what is going on here? I get it. It's his second year as a head coach in the NFL. I get it. His defense is mediocre at best. But seriously, Kevin O'Connell, you are the head coach, and everything comes back to you. The turnovers come back to you. The game planning comes back to you. The play calling comes back to you. I don't know if Kevin O'Connell needs to secede the play calling duties to his offensive coordinator so that he can just focus on being the head coach. But for right now, stuff's got to change, and it starts with you. So I'll say again, both Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins trying to say the fans were too loud. I'm going to be honest with you guys. We got rid of Mike Zimmer because he was a tyrant, bad working environment, the culture of fear. Well, you know what? Kevin O'Connell has swung the other way. We need to find somewhere in the middle between those two guys, for crying out loud. We got to find somewhere in the middle. Kevin O'Connell, I think he honestly doesn't really buy the crowd noise bit, but he was trying to protect Kirk. And that's what infuriates me about these two. You got one guy who is supposedly a top 5 quarterback who needs to be coddled. Because you know what? If that was Mike Zimmer yesterday, do you think Mike Zimmer comes out and says, yeah, the crowd was too loud after that 4th down conversion? No. Mike Zimmer would have said, yeah, Kirk should have spiked the ball. And Kevin doesn't want to throw Kirk under the bus that way. I understand you don't want to throw your guy under the bus, but you make yourself look silly, absolutely silly, when you co-sign on the crowd was too loud after you converted a 4th down to keep the game alive. I'm sorry, Kevin. You got to figure out what the heck you got going on in your head right now. You've in this notion that you had the other day of, well, we got some, and when we signed Dalton Reisner, we got some extra guys in the lineup here, and I'm going to let them decide what's going on. No. Get Dalton Reisner in the lineup immediately. Get Ed Ingram's ass on the bench immediately. He's done. I've given him as much benefit of the doubt as I can. That Ed Ingram, that is. I've said, you know what? Maybe this guy got put out there too quick, and maybe the Vikings ruined him because they had no better options. Fine. I'm over it now. I don't care. Get Dalton Reisner in there because guess what? Even if he's not up to game speed, he can't be any worse than Ed Ingram. Kevin O'Connell, you got to be better at all of this. All of it. So no, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is it all Kevin O'Connell? No. Is it all Kirk Cousins? No. Is it all Brian Flores? No. Is it all the defense? No. But what it is just a combination of Keystone Cops, Dipsy Doodle this, Three Stooges that. This team just ain't very good right now. And they've got too much talent to be this bad. I know, 1-score games. I know, turnover margin. Oh, if we're a good team if we don't shoot ourselves in the foot. Good teams don't shoot themselves in the foot, at least not this many times. You cannot shoot yourself in the foot, have this many turnovers, and continue to call yourself a good team. Good teams don't do that for an entire season, much less the first 3 games of the first 3 games so far. Now, what are we going to do about it? I don't know. Right now, I'm going to get back to the chats because I know you guys have been chatting up a storm. Appreciate your rap. I appreciate it. Shout out to Mateo. Yeah, said it before. We'll say it again. Switching to the 3-4 was a joke. It was. It absolutely was. At the end of the day, I understand that you wanted to go in a different direction, and that's fine, but you went too far in a different direction. And somebody told me that that they actually hired Donishow before they hired Kevin O'Connell. Now, was that just a timing thing because O'Connell was in the Super Bowl, or did they actually pick Ed Donishow before they picked Kevin O'Connell? I don't know. But this organization is completely disorganized right now, and it has been for the last couple of years, if I'm really being honest with you. Who really expected Flores to take the 31st ranked defense and turn him to a top 10 defense? No, I agree. I totally agree. But where I'm going with that, Worthless, is my expectations of the defense are lower than my expectations of the offense. Let's take the final score of yesterday's game. The final score of yesterday's game was 28-24. The Chargers beat us. We all know that. What's more reasonable to expect? That the defense gives up less than the 24 points our offense scored, or that our offense scores more than the 28 points that our defense gave up? I dare say it's the offense. But I'm also not going to let the defense off the hook either. But at this particular point in time, we have to accept that our defense is just as bad as it was before, and our offense needs to overcompensate for that. Otherwise, we ain't going anywhere. We ain't going anywhere. I don't think we're going anywhere anyway, regardless. I'm certainly not saying tank. We'll talk about, hey, should we be tanking? Should we be doing this? What do we need to do? I'll go through a couple different scenarios here in a moment or two, but honestly, it's just, I don't know what to make of this team. Shout out SKOL Mafia. Pace game will get better, and better needs work in pass coverage. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. GM needs to stop being cute, shop bargain bin, and yeah, I hear you. And I'm going to get to Kwesi here next. Safe to say that Kwesi's first draft is a bust. Yeah, I would concur. Outside of Caleb Evans, and again, that was a little bit unlucky, but his first draft not looking so good. Everyone has worked with a guy who they know is just there to collect a paycheck. Find that guy on the team, cut him, and send a message. I have a feeling it may be Davenport. Yeah. Here's what I'm going to say about I just traded Dean Lowry on Madden for a 20 to 37th round pick. Oh, Rap, you funny. You funny as hell. Yeah. SKOL TYA, he just works here. Yeah, I'm assuming that was about Kirk. Yeah, he just works here. He takes no responsibility whatsoever. Shout out Lamont in the building. What's going on, Lamont? Crash for Caleb. I'm not ready to crash just yet, but I'm getting close. I am getting close. I went back and watched that play, and not only did Kirk, the whole offense was lollygagging. Yes, thank you, Rap. I was going to say that, and it slipped my mind. Yeah, the whole offense was acting like there was still a minute and a half left on the clock, and it was under 30 seconds by that point. Like, seriously, get up on the line and spike the ball. Honestly. But on the other hand, if KJ catches the ball, we're not. Yeah, I know. But at the same time, it's like that's what I mean. It's not just one thing. It's all of it. If a Caleb Evans knocks the ball down or he hangs on to the interception, we don't know how the game would have played out, but we know the Vikings would have been up 24-21. How about that second to last drive where on 4th and goal, you throw the ball, Kirk, to Justin Jefferson, who's not even in the end zone? Didn't you learn your lesson from the playoff game? If it's 4th down, throw it past the sticks. But Kirk, not AI robot. Well, you're right. You're right. Crash for Caleb 0-17. I'm happy with that. I'm not happy with 0-17. After about 6 weeks, if we ain't got a win yet, I don't know how I'm going to entertain you guys. And honestly, I want 2-15. If we're going to go down that road, and that's not the road I'm going down yet, but if we are going to go down that road, it needs to be 2-15. And it needs to be 2 victories over the Green Bay Packers. He's blaming us now. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out Brian in the building. What's going on, Brian? Kirk is good with the money. He's not losing any sleep. He could care less if this wins. Family's comfy. Nerd of Netflix. This is love of life. I'm not going to say that Kirk doesn't care at all. He just doesn't care enough. He's one of those guys where he does care, but he's not bothered by it if things don't happen. And I know on that Netflix documentary, I'm going to go home and build a fire with my son, which is cool. I'm not knocking that. What I'm knocking is that you're playing that up for the camera that you felt bad that you lost. You don't feel bad like Justin. Look at Justin Jefferson's demeanor on the sidelines, ladies and gentlemen. Look at Justin Jefferson's demeanor. Part of it, he's probably upset that the Vikings were stupid to not sign him to his contract. I still don't understand that, by the way. But yeah, last year I was trying to give Kirk the benefit of the doubt to say, all right, maybe a lot of this was about Mike Zimmer being Mike Zimmer and just completely not embracing Kirk, because he never did. And that's very, very true. He didn't embrace Kirk, but yeah, he had a great year last year. We thought, okay, Kevin O'Connell's unlocked something in Kirk. Well, Kirk's back to being who Kirk was under Mike Zimmer. And now Kevin O'Connell is starting to see what Mike Zimmer saw. I'm convinced at this point that O'Connell is just riding the string out. And I'm convinced that neither Kwesi or O'Connell want Kirk Cousins back, that they're trying to be competitive while they rebuild the team and all that good stuff. Yeah, Kirk don't get angry. He's just jolly geek. Well, he does that. Gosh darn it. Like, seriously. Signing JD to quarterback money is also going to be a big mistake. Trade for the Hall and rebuild. That I do not agree with, Brian. I'll talk a little bit more about the tank versus not the tank versus the, hey, just, it's not that you're trying to tank, but you don't take every measure you can be to be as good as you can. Maybe if Kirk comes in on Tuesday, he doesn't. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I really don't. I hear what you're saying, Gary, but I don't think it makes any difference at all. What am I drinking tonight? That's a tradition we have on Vikings First and SKOL. I'm drinking Sprite with some cherry in it. A real cherry. Also known as a Shirley Temple, also known as a kitty cocktail. Why? Because I had too many beers yesterday. Shout out to Caesar in the building. What's going on, Caesar? Looking back at the 17th season, you think the Vikings should have kept Keon? No. Signing Kirk Cousins was the right move. And in fact, I'm going to go through the history of that. But shout out to Caesar. You're the first time I've seen you. So everybody give a shout out to Caesar. Say hello. And thank you kindly for joining us. Let me hit the reset button here too. Hit that like button. If you don't already subscribe, hit that subscribe button. We very much do appreciate everybody in the building here tonight. I agree with Sarah. Trading JJ is dumb. Let's stop. Mahomes is a gifted athlete, but watch him on the sidelines when things ain't going well. Calm leader, exuding confidence. That's leadership. Yes, there is no leadership on this team. There's no leadership on this football team. There's no leadership in this front office. There's no leadership from these owners. Let's get the last banner up here. Oh, shoot. I didn't save it. So I'm going to go with this one. I know. Doesn't look as cool. Production value. Quasio. You know what? I need to move my head out of the way. There we go. I know. Doesn't look as cool as the other one, though. Quasio Fomensa. I separate his drafting and his free agency into two different buckets. Why? Because draft, you can pretty much control. Free agency, not so much. And the reason I say that is he came in and this team had a salary cap mess of all salary cap mess due to the short-sighted moves that were done by his predecessor, Rick Spielman. Let's go back in the time machine. Just had that comment there a minute ago. I'm going to put it back up there from Caesar. Where'd you go? I'll put this one up there. Looking back at the 17th season, do you think it was a mistake then that they should have kept Keenum? It goes like this. It was the right move to bring in Kirk Cousins after going to the NFC Championship game in 2017, thinking that he was an upgrade over Case Keenum. And in a lot of areas, Kirk was an upgrade, arm strength, accuracy, that sort of thing. He was a downgrade in mobility, and that's the one thing the Vikings didn't count on. But alas, 2018, they go 8-7-1. 2019, they go 10-6, win a wild card game, and then they get destroyed by the San Francisco 49ers in 2019. That window closed right then and there with that loss. The window closed right then. But these two guys on the right, Ziggy and Mark Wilf, they should have known that the window was closed and that it was time to pivot. They sold us on Kirk Cousins, saying, hey, we gave him a lot of money, but we only gave him a 3-year deal. So if it doesn't work out, we have an out. And they didn't take the out that they built themselves in for. Instead, they signed him to a 2-year extension and give him more money, all guaranteed. It's like, wait a minute. You really think you can get rid of Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes, and all these other guys on defense, and we're still going to be okay? Our biggest move that season in 2020 was the signing or the trade of Yannick Ngakoue. That's all we did. We got rid of a whole bunch of players and brought in Yannick Ngakoue, and we thought we were going to be competitive still. And what did they do? They started out 1-5. Then they got to the bye week, and everybody on the planet saying the Vikings should probably just sell off their pieces and rebuild. Not Ziggy and Mark Wilf. They don't do that. Ziggy and Mark Wilf, no, we're going to keep on fighting because we think we fixed some things during this bye week, and we think we can get back into this playoff race. And what did they do? They went 6-4 in their last 10 games to finish 7-9, but they got eliminated in the second to last week of the season. And that's all that Ziggy and Mark Wilf are looking for. Do they want to win a Super Bowl? Of course they do. But their main focus is to just always be competitive and always have a team that doesn't get eliminated by Thanksgiving. Okay, after 2020, when you had an opportunity to pivot, you had another opportunity. But you gave Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman another year to say, okay, they do this every other year, bit back and forth, yada, yada. We'll give them another year. What'd we do? We went 8-9. And what are we doing during these two seasons? We're signing older veteran players to contracts, extending beyond our salary cap means by doing void years and pushing money and kicking the can down the road. That's why we are in the mess we are in right now, ladies and gentlemen. Last offseason, they got rid of Kendricks and Thielen, and they took a lot of dead cap hits. Why? Because if they hadn't, instead of having about $55 million in dead money over our heads in 2024, it would have been closer to about 65, maybe even 70. The Vikings have done for the last 5 years, short-sighted move after short-sighted move. You should never have let Anthony Barr get back in the building. After 2018, he signed with the Jets, and Zimmer and Spielman and the Wills found a way. Well, how did they do that? They pushed money into the future, and they kept doing that. And every year at the start of free agency, they're over the salary cap, so they have to make moves just to get salary cap compliant, and then maybe to find a couple million to sign some actual players, which is why they are always bargain bin shopping. Getting back to my guy Kyle, who made that comment earlier, they're always bargain bin shopping because they don't have any available salary cap space. And they went with we're in a Super Bowl window, so we don't mind pushing money into future years because the salary cap's going to keep going up. You can do that for a year or two, but you can't do it for 5 years. And they've done it for 5 years. This is why we don't have any salary cap space. This is why we are signing guys like Marcus Davenport, Dean Lowry, and why we're never in the big market for the big fish. This is why we've never signed a guard or two to protect Kirk Cousins, which is why Kirk Cousins is always flustered because there's no very good guards to protect him. Oh, we'll just draft guards and we'll throw them in right away. As I said earlier, Ed Ingram was thrown in right away and he wasn't ready. because he needed to sit and develop for a little bit. That's why we are in this situation. In 2017, Diggs, Thielen, they were still on rookie contracts. Think of the roster depth that we had in 2017. We lost our starting quarterback and we lost our starting running back, and we still got to the NFC Championship game. Now, getting back to the question about Case Keenum, here's what I said about Case at the time. The offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur, was the only offensive coordinator in the Zimmer era that worked, because he knew how to be the bridge between Mike Zimmer and any quarterback not named Teddy Bridgewater. And he had accepted the job with the New York Giants. I had said that if Shurmur had not left and he was going to continue as our offensive coordinator, then I would have wanted to keep Case Keenum. Now, I'm not going to listen to the Kirk stands and say, well, what has Case Keenum done? Good thing the Vikings didn't keep him. He's been terrible. Well, yeah, he had a magic carpet ride in 2017 because he had Thielen and Diggs with him. And by the way, what has Kirk Cousins had his entire time here? Thielen and Diggs, Thielen and Jefferson, Jefferson and Addison. So let's not pretend that Kirk hasn't had talent around him. I know he was a decent quarterback in Washington. Always putting up his 4,000 yards and his 25 touchdowns. That's all well and good. And again, I'm not blaming him. But I do understand the Vikings move at the time. I endorsed the move at the time. And in hindsight, even with how this has turned out, I would still say it's the right move. The wrong move was extending him. The wrong move was not pivoting off of him in 2020, because this roster had eroded. And for as good as Kirk can be at times, he can't overcome all of the roster deficiencies that this team ultimately ended up having. And the roster deficiencies kept piling up. And you tried to put duct tape over all of these issues by signing bargain bin guys and extending contracts out to older veteran players and signing them to void years and keep pushing money down the road and pushing money down the road. And that's why we are in the mess we are in right now. It's as simple as that. What do? You don't tank. Do you strategically say, you know what? We're going to stop pushing our chips in? Yeah, maybe. It's funny to say that after they made a trade for a running back and signed Dalton Reisner. Yeah, if you'd signed Dalton Reisner in the offseason, I would have liked it a lot more than I do now. I've said that a few times, so I won't go through that again. But this team has too much talent to full-on tank. Full-on tank, let's just get the definitions out there. A tank is literally trading away all of your assets and starting from scratch. I am not interested in that. I am interested in saying, okay, I'm keeping Justin Jefferson, I'm keeping TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, my tackles, Ivan Pace, Cam Bynum, and Josh Metellus. Everybody else is fair game. If this team, regardless of whether they beat Carolina or not, it's not going to matter. Here's why. You're going to lose to Kansas City. And I saw the dumbest tweet earlier today. Oh, if the Vikings can get it together and stop shooting themselves in the foot, they can beat the Carolina Panthers. And then when Kansas City comes to town, we'll have an advantage over them, because by that time, Travis and Taylor Mania will be a distraction to the Kansas City Chiefs. And that'll be an advantage to us where we could possibly beat them. Get the hell out of here with that mess. You're hoping that we can beat the Kansas City Chiefs because you're hoping that Taylor Swift is going to be a distraction to the team? Where are we as a team where we're hoping we can upset the Super Bowl champs because Taylor Swift is a distraction? Stop with that mess. Stop the cap, as they say. That is utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous to say, hey, maybe, just maybe, we can beat Kansas City. No, we can't. Now, stranger things have happened. I know. Stranger things have happened. I'm not saying they can't beat them, but sorry, we're not. So we're going to lose to Kansas City, going to lose to San Francisco. So let's just say you beat Carolina, Chicago, and you're 2-5 after that 7-game stretch going into Green Bay. And that's around the time of the trading deadline. Yeah. Trade KJ Osborne. Trade Harrison Smith. See if Danielle Hunter will waive his no-trade clause. And I think Danielle Hunter probably would. I don't think Danielle Hunter's long for this team after this season. After all the contract disputes that he has, and he wants to go out and get another big bag, and the Vikings don't have the ability to get a big bag. No. I don't see Danielle Hunter back on this team. So, yes, if you're 2-5 or worse, 1-6 or 0-7, fire sale the whole thing. That's not tanking to trade away Danielle Hunter. It's not tanking to trade away Harrison Smith. It would be tanking to trade away Justin Jefferson. And let me be clear, in no uncertain terms, am I trading Justin Jefferson? None. Yeah. If the Arizona Cardinals in the offseason came to me with the first overall pick and the second overall pick, because both them and Houston ended up with the 2 worst records. Plus, then they gave me another first-round pick in 2025. Plus, they gave me the 2 third-rounders that they have. I'm not saying I would do that deal, but I'm listening to that deal. I'm at least considering it. But Arizona would never offer you such a package for Justin Jefferson. So let's just be done with it. No, I am not trading Justin Jefferson. I'm keeping Justin Jefferson along with Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson in the tackles for the next quarterback, whether we draft somebody in the 2024 draft, whether we find some slappy off the street, or whether we just turn it over to Jaron Hall. I do not care. I want Jefferson on this team to make the transition for the new quarterback a lot smoother and easier. But no, 1 or 2 more losses. And like I said, get back to me at the end of week 7 after the San Francisco game on Monday Night Football. If we are 2-5 or worse, yeah, sell off every piece. And honestly, as far as Kirk Cousins goes, let's be clear. I don't think Kirk Cousins would accept a trade to any team in the NFL. He's not going to want to uproot his family. He's just not. So if you could find a way to trade him, I don't care who, yeah, I would do that. Because if at 2-5, we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going anywhere now, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just call it for what it is. I mean, we still going to watch the games. We still going to cheer. I'm not cheering for losses. No, I'm not there, and I never will be. What I am is I'm less disappointed when they lose. I was really disappointed when they lost to Tampa Bay. I was really disappointed when they lost yesterday. I was disappointed when they lost to Philly because I'm always disappointed when we lose to Philly. But no, I'm not cheering for losses. But am I ready to say that this should be Kirk Cousins' last season with the Minnesota Vikings? Yes, I'm definitely ready to say that. And I'm not saying it's all his fault, so don't come at me with, Justin's, hating on Kirk Cousins and he's saying it's all Kirk Cousins' fault. No, I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is, yeah, if you're 2-5, other than the 8 or 9 guys that I mentioned, everybody's open for business. And that includes Kirk. And you know what? If it gets desperate enough, here's what you do. Here's what you really do. If you're going to finally embrace the, hey, we're not going to try to win. We're not going to actively tank, but we're not going to care if we win or lose anymore. You can go to Kirk Cousins and say, hey, we're not re-signing you. So you can give us a list of teams that you'll be open to taking a trade to because we're not re-signing you. And if Kirk says no, then you say, fine, you're riding the bench for the rest of the year. We're putting Jaron Hall in because we need to see what we have with him. And I know that's a frightening prospect, and I know that that's going to make the rest of this even more ridiculous than the first 3 games has already been. But it's called short-term pain for long-term gain. I'm not saying tank. There's no way on God's green earth I'm trading Justin Jefferson. That's what a tank would entail. Trading Hunter, Smith, Osborne. Heck, trade Garrett Bradbury if you can get a 7th-round pick for him. Trade Ezra Cleveland. He's not going to be back here next year either. Absolutely. If there are assets that you have that you can trade that are not named Jefferson Addison, the tackles, Hawkinson, and the guys on defense I mentioned, Bynum, Metellus, and Ivan Pace Jr., yeah, you trade them away. You get what you can for them. And you just say, hey, it is what it is. Because if you keep everybody and you do what you did in 2020, when you started off 1-5 and you go, and then they went 6-4 and end up 7-9, you're still missing the playoffs. And I don't want to hear, well, this garbage is division. We could still win this division. The division is not good. What do we have if we win this division? A first-round exit. At best, a division round exit. At best. And that's a stretch. So, no, I'm still going to get on this mic every week. I'm going to come talk to you guys. Y'all been sitting here listening to me ramble for an hour. And I appreciate and love the heck out of you for it. I ain't going nowhere. I love this team. But I don't care about hoping that maybe we can get to 7 or 8 and maybe 9 wins this year. That does nothing for me. What does something for me is finding a way to adequately prepare ourselves to not just be a mediocre team in 24 and 25, but to actually take steps that's going to rebuild this team into a team that can compete for a Super Bowl. Because the goal isn't to be mediocre. The goal is not to be competitive for divisions. The goal is to be competitive for Super Bowls. So, no, I don't think it was a mistake to sign Kirk Cousins, despite how it turned out. I think Case Keenum, that was a magic carpet ride. Yeah, he did a little bit better behind bad offensive lines than Kirk does, but he doesn't have what Kirk has in the rest of the areas. So let's just be clear about that. So no, the mistake was not pivoting sooner. The mistake was giving him an extension after 2019 for 2 more years. Another mistake was not getting rid of Kirk and not getting rid of Thielen and Kendricks and Danielle Hunter, for that matter. You should, when you got rid of Zimmer and Spielman, you should have hit the reset button then. Because what are we going to do in 2024? We're hitting a reset button. And I said this at the time during Mike Zimmer's last few games here. I said if they fire Zimmer or Spielman, they should get rid of Kirk too, and they should absolutely just hit that reset button. Because if we don't, what are we going to do? We're going to keep the guys for a year or two to see what we have and to see if the new coach can get anything better out of it than Mike Zimmer did. Well, yeah, 13-4 was great last year. It was. I'm not taking anything away from it, and I never will. I took my daughter to her first football game, as I have mentioned on this show before. It was fun, but it was a first-round exit. And what are we going to do now? Now we're going to go through 2023 and 2024. We're going to start our rebuild. And so the prophecy came true. We spent 2 years delaying the inevitable. So I'm not trying to be negative, guys. I'm not. I'm just trying to be realistic. Realistically, can we win on Sunday? Yes, absolutely we can. Carolina's bad too. Do I think they're going to win Sunday? Yes, I do. Will I be watching and cheering for them when they score touchdowns? Will I be happy if they win? Yes. Will I be all that disappointed if they lose? Not really. Because even though it sucks in that moment, it's one step closer to getting us to a point where we can be competitive for a Super Bowl. If anybody still put it in the chat right now. Is there anybody in my chat right now that thinks we can be competitive for a Super Bowl this year? I'm not asking, do you think we can be competitive for the Central Division or the North Division title this year? So the answer to that is, yeah, we could if we stop turning the ball over, if Kevin O'Connell gets his head out of his rear end and starts instilling a little more discipline on this team that is completely undisciplined, starts putting some organization back into this team, starts figuring out a way to get guys to stop turning the ball over. Yeah, then we can be competitive for a division. Absolutely. And if that's all you want as a fan, okay. Like I said at the beginning, you have the right to that opinion. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. But I'm saying I'm not wrong for saying, you know what, I don't mind if this year ends up just going in the toilet. Because we have so many holes on this team that we can't keep duct taping over them anymore. This should have happened 2 years ago. Should have happened 3 years ago, actually. But at the end of the day, as I said in my rant about the Wilfs are the ones who have given the edict that we always stay competitive. That is part of the reason why, along with job security, that Rick Spielman made all the moves that he made. The Wilfs told him to do what he did. So anybody wants to say, well, Rick Spielman left the salary cap mess. Actually, the Wilfs told him to do it. They said, this is your job requirement. When they fired Rick Spielman, the guy Poles from Chicago came in and said, no, I want to do a teardown. You know what he would have done? He would have traded Kirk Cousins. He would have traded Adam Thielen. He would have traded Harrison Smith. He would have kept Justin Jefferson. And we wouldn't have had 13-4 last year. And I'm not saying that the Bears are going to be better than us because they don't have Justin Jefferson and they don't have some of the other infrastructure pieces that we do actually have. But that's why the Wilfs said, no, we're not hiring you. We don't rebuild around here. We don't tear down around here. We're competitive for the division every year. And we hope that if we sneak into the playoffs that we can find some New York Giants magic. Well, this is the result of that. I've said this rant before too. The Wilfs, prior to the beginning of this season, have owned this team for 18 years. 2005 was their first year. I've always said there's three kinds of teams in the NFL. Teams that win 6 games or fewer, 11 games or more, and then there's those teams in the middle at 7 to 10 wins. The Wilfs, since they've owned this team, have had 4 seasons of 6 wins or fewer, which on the surface sounds great. Only 4 times in 18 years have they been a garbage team. You want to know what else is true? Only 4 times since they've owned this team have they been 11 wins or more. Go look it up. Only 4 times in 18 years of ownership by Ziggy and Mark Wilf have the Minnesota Vikings had seasons of 11 wins or more. The other 10, they're stuck in that 7 to 10 range. It's Minnesota mediocrity, purple purgatory. And some fans are just not willing to give up purgatory because, I don't want to be bad for 5 years. Okay, I don't want to be bad for 5 years either. I don't want to be bad for 2 years. I'm willing to roll the dice to be bad for 1 year in the hopes that we reset the roster, get rid of all the salary cap debt, get some decent draft picks, and hope that our coaches can develop them so that we can push past mediocrity. That's the bit. The bit is take 1 step back to take 2 steps forward. Yes, you are taking a risk that if you take a step back, that you might be bad for multiple years, as opposed to what? Being in purgatory for multiple years? What's the difference? The difference is none. You stick with the same things you've been doing, you're going to be stuck in the middle. So, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do the bit. I got the curmudgeon and I got the punk. I got the optimist versus the pessimist. JJ texted me today. Hey, when are you going to do another one of those episodes? I said, I don't know. It's very time consuming. Those are a lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to put together, and I get good reaction for it. But at the same time, I'm not trying to be, it's not pessimism, it's realism. And that's what I say in the videos, where the curmudgeon says, I'm not pessimistic, I'm just realistic. And realistically, you have to pay your salary cap debts. We've been pushing money for years. And this is what happens when you never pay off your bills. If you had traded Kirk Cousins before free agency started, that the old rumor that happens every year, trade him to San Francisco for Trey Lance. Oh, I don't want to go through a season with Trey Lance. We'd be a terrible team. Looks like we're a terrible team anyway. If you had traded Kirk Cousins before the start of free agency, you wouldn't have that $28.5 million salary cap debt that's about to come due next season, because all the dead cap hits would have hit this year. If you would have traded Danielle Hunter prior to June 1st, you wouldn't have that $14-15 million salary cap hit that's about to hit the salary cap next year, because it would have all hit this year. And yeah, we would have sucked this year. Instead of being an 0-3 team that's shooting itself in the foot and they're not as bad an 0-3 team as, say, Chicago or Denver, yeah, we'd be where Chicago and Denver is. They have the same record we do. And I get it. I don't like the prospect. I don't. Some people say, Justin, you want to be bad? No, I want to be great. And I'm willing to be bad for a year or two if that gives me a better chance of being great, because we have seen that staying in the middle becomes difficult to be great. So I'm just calling it for what it is. Don't get me wrong. I think they win Sunday. I think they beat Carolina. I think it's going to be a one-score game. I was just about to say I think they beat Carolina by 10 points, but I said that about Tampa Bay. I said that about the Chargers, and I've been dead wrong. So now I'm going to change it. Now I think they squeak out a victory. I think it's going to be a last-second field goal by Greg Joseph, or I think it's going to be a touchdown in overtime. I think it's going to be one of those games where you can clearly see that the Vikings are a better team, but, somehow, some way, they've allowed Carolina to hang around. But no, I do think they win. I do think we get off the schneid. And maybe I think they get off the schneid because I so desperately don't want them to lose to Carolina. Because if they lose to Carolina and then they lose to the Chiefs, and now we're going into Chicago at 0-5 against the Bears, who are going to probably be 0-5. Let's look at the Bears schedule real quick. Hang with me, people. Hang on for just a second. Who did the Bears got? Where are the Bears at? There they are. So they 0-3. They've got the Broncos and the Bears play. So one of those garbage teams is going to get a win. And then they go they're going to lose to the Commanders. So, yeah, we could both, if we're both 0-5, oh my gosh, how terrible is that going to be? How terrible is that going to be? Real bad. And at the end of it, will I like it? Absolutely not. I will hate it. I will despise it. I despise work today. I had to do a show tonight, and I got to find a way to bring the energy for the people. Try to find a way to try to be positive. I'm trying. I keep trying because I love this team. I just want to see them win one Super Bowl before I die. They ain't winning it this year. So maybe the best strategy to get us to where we need to be is to just accept the fact that they're just not very good right now. I don't know. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm trying to be realistic. I want to be positive. I want to see them win. And then I want to laugh at the people who think that we have a shot against Kansas City. And by gosh, if by some miracle it happens that we beat Patrick Mahomes and keep him from getting the NFL sweep, remind you, the Vikings are the only team that Patrick Mahomes ain't beat yet. I'd love to push that off for another 4 years. I'd love to say, hey, Taylor, you were just in our building this summer. Your team ain't getting no W. Your boyfriend ain't getting no W today. I'd love to. But one thing I've always said on my show and on my channels, and then I'm going to wrap it up, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And my honest opinion right now is that they're a little too far off. Yes, again, if they clean up all their messes, like I said a moment ago, if they clean up the turnovers and Kevin O'Connell gets better at play calling and situational, whatever the heck that phrase is, situationally great, if he gets back to that, could we compete for this division? Absolutely. Could we go anywhere in the playoffs? Not really. I mean, all right, let me look at your comments. What did you guys say when I asked if we can be competitive? Kirk not waiving his no trade, as comfy as it gets here. Yes, no pressure. The stats are piling up. Yeah, no, totally. Brian, I totally agree with you. I said that earlier, but I totally agree with you. No, Kirk ain't waiving his no trade clause. One or two more losses. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. I got on my see. This is my first time where I'm open, so I apologize, y'all. I had a couple. I got shout out to my guy. Shout out to my guy Kyle with the $5 super check. Drake May sweepstakes, baby. Yeah, I saw Drake May play against my Gophers. He looked pretty good. I would be fine with Drake May. I would be fine with Drake May. I absolutely would. I'd be fine with like 6 or 7 of these quarterbacks because they can move, they can do stuff. I know they're not going to be as good as Kirk right away, but I absolutely shout out to my guy Kyle. And like I said, go check his podcast out. It's Purple People Podcast on YouTube. He had a great show tonight. I got to hear that before I got on the mic over on Vikings First and SKOL. So I want to shout out one more time to Rap, to Mafia, Bandino, Worthless Opinion, How About No, Papa Gary, and of course my guy Kyle. I appreciate you guys so very, very much. I'm so humbled and appreciative of all the support that you give me and Rap and all the other content creators out there. Tomorrow night, 6:30, come on back. Going under the lights with Dave. I don't know if we're gonna have a guest or not, and I imagine it's gonna get hot. And I imagine it's gonna get hot. As y'all know, Dave, it's never Kirk Cousins' fault. It's always somebody else's. And he'll try and spin it as to, well, no, I said this, but the defense this, but Kevin O'Connell, but, him spiking the ball didn't make any difference because you would have only gotten 3 plays either way. Yeah, but you would have been a little bit more organized for that first play instead of it being Keystone Cops chaos. So I imagine we'll have some good conversation, probably disagreeing on some stuff. And again, let me be clear. I'm not saying that loss is on Kirk Cousins because it's not. It's on the whole team. If it's on any, I've said it for 3 weeks. The biggest blame goes to Kevin O'Connell for being unorganized, undisciplined. So no, I'm not saying anything about Kirk like he lost the game for us. But he wasn't flawless. Atlanta, his what? Oh, is that where his wife's from? Is Atlanta? Okay, yeah. Atlanta would be contenders in the NFC if they had Kirk Cousins. Absolutely. The only reason Miami slaughtered the Broncos was a pain they would have slowed down was any other coach. Yeah. That was so beautiful. 70 points. 70 points in the NFL. Just be glad we don't play the Dolphins this year. I said it last year, T-Bass, before I. In fact, I started the channel right after the Miami game. I said we got lucky. We didn't play Tua. You are absolutely spot on, though. You are absolutely spot on. If we played that team last year with Tua, we wouldn't have squeaked out no victory. I know. Well, Dalvin Cook did this, and that's what I should have kept done. Nah, Dalvin Cook would have made no difference if Tua played in that game. I'm paying JJ anything he wants. I'm with you, Joker. I am absolutely with you. And you know what? This ridiculous nonsense about JJ won't want to sign here if Kirk Cousins isn't here because he wouldn't want to go through bad years with a young quarterback. Shut the front door. That's total bologna sandwich. It's ridiculous. It's asinine. You go to Justin Jefferson and you say this, hey, how much money do you want? Okay, here it is. Oh, what about Kirk? Like, we can't afford to keep you, TJ, the tackles, and eventually a couple of other players and give Kirk what we're going to need to give Kirk. I'll remind folks that $28 million dead cap hit for Kirk. If they re-signed him, 10 of it will go on to 24 and the other 18 and a half will go on to 25 and later. So let's say that Kirk Cousins signed a $45 million extension for 1 year. That means his cap hit next year would be $55 million. So how are you going to have a cap hit of $55 million for Kirk Cousins? Justin Jefferson's cap hit of 20 some, maybe 30. TJ Hawkinson cap hit of 14 million. Okay, by my math, let's see here. That's about what, 70, 80 million for 3 players, and you got a salary cap of $260 million. You tell Jefferson, hey, we want to give you all the money you want, but you and Jordan are going to have to groom a new quarterback because otherwise we can't build a roster that's going to be able to be competitive. We might win some divisions and we might sneak into the playoffs, but we ain't winning no Super Bowl. And you really think that Justin Jefferson would be opposed to one of these quarterbacks we're seeing that are going to come out next year? I doubt it. I don't think he's going to have an issue with it. So no, he is not going to hold the Vikings hostage and say, you have to bring Kirk Cousins in. Get out of that. The only bad thing is you can't be locked into one guy and have him dictate all you. Well, that's true too. No, that's very, very true. Kirk doesn't move, you threaten him with the bench. Yes, yeah, I said that. Absolutely. Yep. I'm totally with you. Shout out Caesar in the building. I'll tell you what. One of these weeks, if it gets to be that bad, I might do what we do on our other shows, which is to let people come on. And Caesar, you got an open invitation if we ever get to that point. And it's not just because you're agreeing with everything I'm saying, but no, you're spot on. Shout out Chad in the building. Embrace the tank, bro. Like I said, I consider a tank trading Justin Jefferson, and I'm not willing to go that far. But am I ready to embrace the hey, sell off the pieces of your pending free agents? And if that means you don't win 7 games and you only win 4, yeah, I'm okay with that. Shout out Chad in the building. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. SKOL for Life Barber in the building. Well, sit Kirk down and play Hall. Yes, that's what I would do. If you're 2-5, I don't want to have Kirk Cousins playing for the last 10 games so that we can go 6-4 and end up 8-9. I want to see what Jaren Hall has. If Jaren Hall leads us to a 500 record during the last 10 games, okay, then you have something in him. But I want to know one way or the other. If Jaren Hall goes out there and looks terrible, then we definitely know we finna draft somebody. We might do that anyway. But no, I am not interested in keeping Kirk Cousins for the last 10 games when I know I'm not going to re-sign him just to go 500 for the last 10 games. No, that's just stupid. How about no says the same thing? Put Hall in there. I totally agree. I'm disappointed McDaniel's showing mercy, not breaking the worker to F. Champagne. I'm with you, man. I'm with you, Sarah. SKOL for Life. What's going on? I said the same thing yesterday. Yeah. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I totally forgot to cut my music back on tonight. I was on such a roll. Normally I have the music on to keep me in rhythm and stuff. I guess after that performance yesterday, I didn't need it. But shout out to Brian. Zimmer was 100% right signing Kirk Cousins for the bag. Mike Zimmer's smiling right now. He's collecting that last year paycheck that he still owed, and he's seen the Vikings be no better than what we were with Mike. Because at the end of the day, 5 years, 2 playoff appearances, 1 playoff victory. Yeah, that's no better. That's absolutely no better. Is there any other comments? I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Joker. I appreciate you. This one right here. Brian's another good one. We hung on to Thielen, Kendricks, Cook, and Rudolph a year too long, about 3 years too long for Rudy. He was off. I totally agree. And we held on to Kirk for a couple years too long because, y'all have heard me give this bit. Well, a couple of newcomers in here, so I'll do this bit right now. You want to know what Kirk Cousins is? He's that girl that's a comfortable 6. She's not an 8. She's not a 4. He's a 6. Now, the Kirk Cousins stands want to pretend that he's an 8, and he's not. But you're the band geek that's been dating 3s and 4s your whole life in high school. And then this 6 transfers in from another school. She moved. And at her school, she was dating football players and basketball players, and they did her dirty. So she wants to date you, the band geek. And you're like, oh, she wants to date me? I'm used to dating 3s and 4s. I'll date this 6. Because Kirk was an upgrade over Case and over Teddy and over Brooks Bollinger and Tavares Jackson and Christian Ponder and Josh Freeman. Yeah, he's an upgrade over all those guys. And some of this fan base was like, no, if we get rid of Kirk, we're going to go back to those guys. You don't know that. We might. You're right. If you get rid of that 6, you might be back into dating 4s and 3s again. But you might strike gold and date and find your 8. So that's my spiel. I'm just ready to move on. I'm just ready to move on. To my question that I put out earlier, pretty much no. SKOL for Life says facts. I appreciate you. Gary says thanks to JD for calling out the Wills. I call it as I see it. Drop shot, Jake. I want to be optimistic. Sorry. Hey, you don't have to apologize for wanting to be optimistic. You don't have to. I'm not saying you're wrong for that. I'm just saying that there are some people who want to be optimistic all the time, even when it's abundantly obvious that there's nothing to be optimistic about, that want to tell me I'm a bad fan for not being disappointed if they lose, to take steps to rebuild this team faster. You don't have to apologize. I ain't mad at you for that. I ain't mad at nobody if you want to be optimistic. I'm just saying I'm not saying you specifically, Drop Shot. I'm just saying in general. People say, Justin, you're a bad fan for wanting them to be bad. I'm like, no, I'm a good fan for not accepting mediocrity. If you want to continue to be optimistic and you think we can turn this around, okay. I hope you're right. I don't see it. Not right now. We hired a basketball stock trader to GM as an optics hire. There's some truth to that. I believe we could back into a wild card and the Wills will consider it a winning season. Yes. I mean, again, I've seen this team for 44 years. And once every 8 to 10 years, they go to an NFC championship game. I've never seen them in a Super Bowl in my lifetime. And as we all know, we've never won one. Being a team that backs into a wild card and loses in the wild card round, that's not success for me anymore. My standards are higher. My standards of success are at least getting to an NFC championship game. And you can say you're setting your standards too high. I might say you're setting your standards too low if you're satisfied with just getting into the playoffs. And at some point, like I said, when I talked about the Wilfs always wanting to be competitive and always putting band-aids on and duct taping their flaws and never taking a step back. Sometimes taking a step back makes it easier for you to become great. But yeah, you're right. The Wilfs would consider getting back to the playoffs a successful season. I don't. And only 3 times have the Vikings had a franchise quarterback. Nope, that's correct too. How Pold managed to bleep up that is beyond me. He didn't address the offensive or defensive line. Overpaid for 2 linebackers. Yeah. I mean, again, his idea wasn't wrong. His execution of it was absolutely horrible. Gary says, Justin and Rap, keeping it real, mofos. I appreciate you. Brian says, go Panthers. All right, Brian. Feeling get 100 Sunday? Probably. We can't get to the quarterback. Byron Murphy, I like him. I want him on this team long term, but he didn't look good yesterday. Keelan Allen had 18 catches on 20 targets, and we didn't adjust. And that's on Flores. Do something. I need Kirk on. Yeah, me too. And that doesn't mean I hate Kirk. I think Kirk is a very, very good quarterback, but he's got his limitations. And this roster, he cannot overcome all these limitations. So it's not even about parceling out blame anymore. It's about reality. It's like having a baseball team that's a 100-loss baseball team. And one of the top 5 pitchers is available in free agency. But this baseball team needs 2 starting pitchers. It needs 2 relief pitchers. It needs a shortstop. It needs a cleanup hitter. It needs a center fielder. Yeah, you could sign that free agent ace starting pitcher, and would it help? Sure, it would help move you from 100 losses to maybe 95 losses. It's not going to solve all your problems. Certainly not going to help you win a World Series. That's what Kirk is right now, and more importantly, that's what the Vikings are right now. Yeah. We don't have the team to support him. So I'll say it that way for the Kirk stands out there that want to say that I hate on Cousins. I'm not hating on him. I'm just saying our team's not good enough, and he's not good enough to overcome all the deficiencies that we have. That's not putting it on him. That's putting it on the team. And as I said, that's 5 years of the Wilf saying you got to be competitive all the time. If Bryce Young plays, we win. If Dalton plays, we lose. That's probably true. We always don't do well against backup quarterbacks. Andy Dalton beat us when he was with the Cowboys. Barely lost to us last year against the Saints over in that London game off the double doink. Brian says Kwesi, Kirk, and KOC can collaborate their way out. I'm still trying to give Kwesi a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I've hated his draft. I hated that draft day trade last year, and I'll never forgive him for that. But as far as the salary cap goes, again, he was put in a position to fail there. Chad says the Vikings Bronco game has got to be flexed out of prime time. Yes, please. How about no diehards in 69? I've earned the right to say I hate this team. Yes, you have. I'm guessing you. That's the thing, though. That's what's funny about, the overly optimistics. And I'm not putting you in this category, Drop Shot. I'm not saying that. But the Paul Allens and the Andy from Purple in the Wind, you think that the opposite of love is hate. The opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is apathy, where you just don't care. The fact that How About No says, I've earned the right to say I hate this team, means he still cares. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not hating on this team. I still care. I want to see them get out of this rut of mediocrity. If I didn't care anymore, I'd be like, hey, I ain't doing this. I'm maybe going to do one show every week or 2. Hell no. I'm doing everything I got, and I'm going to keep on doing it. Yeah, 49ers Monday Night Football, that's going to be a mollywop. That's going to be not so bad. If they clean up the turnovers, they're still barely winning games. That's true, too. I can't stand the fact that people are afraid to move on. It's time to get a quarterback for the end of – yes! Caesar, my guy! Yes! And that's not hating, and that's not being bandwagon, and that's not being pessimistic. That's being realistic. So much talent, some of these key positions wasted after. That is true. That is very, very true. And that's why I said they should have moved on and started this when they hired KOC, because we just spent 2 years of not doing the rebuilds we needed to, when we just wasted 2 years of Justin Jefferson's prime, 2 years of his rookie contract. Absolutely. Shout out Frozen North in the building. What's going on? Good to see you, Frozen. I appreciate you. I know you've been here for about 10 minutes, 15, whatever, but I just get rambling sometime and I get behind on my chest. So shout out to Frozen North in the building as well. Thank you so kindly, everybody, for joining me. When you have G golly quarterback lead the talent here. Yeah, pretty much. Vaughn in the building. What's up, Vaughn? Shout out Vaughn, everybody in the building. What's going on? Yeah, I'll take any one of those guys. I'll take anyone. We love you, bro. Let's chill for the KC game. Oh, yeah. I'll hit you up on WhatsApp. Yeah, I'm still looking forward to coming out and having a beer with you that weekend because I don't have my daughter, so I'm trying to get up there to see you and my guy Casey over there. Are people forgetting the time you saved the spike? Might come in here. Yes. Well, there's that. Dave was hilarious tonight defending still love him. I didn't hear him. I heard him for like 10 minutes. I didn't have a chance to hear the whole show. I just heard what he said yesterday. I got on his live for about 5 minutes. I was in his chat and I said one non-positive thing about Kirk and he took it like I was blaming Kirk for everything. I'm just like, all right, Dave, I'll chill with you on Tuesday. After all the Cousins have shown, anyone that thinks he can be a contender with him is certified, but not the Vikings. So let me be clear, G-Mac. That's a very good point. It's a very good point. Kirk Cousins cannot lead the Vikings to Super Bowl contention. Is it possible he could lead San Francisco? Yeah. New York? Yeah. Atlanta? Yeah. Because those teams are built up right now. And they are just Brock Purdy is so overrated, but he is surrounded by everybody wants to downplay Jalen Hurts in Philly saying, well, he's got the best offensive line. He's got 2 good wide receivers. He's got a great defensive line. Yeah. How about that? You want to know why that was possible? Because Jalen Hurts was on a rookie contract while they built the team up. He wasn't getting paid $45 million or whatever, market value. Yeah, he's getting paid now. And guess what? Philly's got about 2 more years before they're going to have to do all the things that the Vikings couldn't do. And by the way, yes, I know the last handful of years of the Spielman draft were garbage. And that's the other thing that led to this mess too, is that you didn't have an influx of young, cheap talent that could supplement and replace some of those guys. And that's why you had to keep signing bad contracts. But the point is that, yes, Kirk Cousins, if he's in the right scenario, could absolutely lead a team to be in Super Bowl contention. I don't know if he can win one or not, but Woodman. Penix is right up the Kwesi Alley injury prone. You funny, Mateo. You funny. Frozen North said, we got the Dolphins' 3rd string quarterback. Yeah. I mean, we'll always love Teddy. You're right. But that's the only reason we won that game. That is the only reason we won that game. It's like clockwork. Kirk fanboys act like he's got. Yes. He's not. Is he better than Tavares Jackson and Christian Ponder? Yes. Set your standards a little bit higher, ladies and gentlemen. Set your standards a little bit higher. All right. Was there anything else that I had on here? Zimmer was wrong on a lot of other things. Yes, absolutely. Listen, when I say Zimmer was right about Kirk, that doesn't mean he was right about everything. No, you absolutely right, Chad. You absolutely right. I don't blame them for signing Cousins in the beginning, but the extensions were the bad idea. Nope, that's exactly what I'm with you. I think the main reason we kept Kirk was the draft cast was bad until now. Yes and no. That there's some truth to that. The problem is that you get into the perpetual wheel of, well, we can't find anything better than Kirk, so therefore we're just going to keep Kirk. Well, at some point, make a plan. They don't have a plan, and they haven't. And they finally might get a plan after this season. But that was my bigger problem, which is like, well, we can't get anything better, so we'll just stick with what we got. Well, what we got is a guy that is guaranteed to make sure we don't suck, which is a good thing. But it's also a guarantee that we're never going to get past the divisional round of the playoffs. And I say the same thing about lots of other quarterbacks, and not just Kirk. I say the same thing about Dak Prescott, Derek Carr, to a certain extent, Jared Goff. Jared Goff did get past the divisional round once when he was on his rookie contract, and he got back to the divisional round in his last stint with the LA Rams. But those guys are all the same. You need a lot more around them than you do than a Burrow, an Allen, a Mahomes, a Hurst, that sort of thing. So they're not bad quarterbacks. But let me be clear. Everything that I've said about Kirk Cousins, I say the same thing about Dak. I know Andy from Purple Dome want to say, oh, Kirk Cousins is way better than Dak. No, he's not. Kirk and Dak are about the same thing. And I mean that in the context of how far can you go with them? You can go to the divisional round of the playoffs, and once you might squeak through, but that's it. But she's got really. Oh, yeah, when I was saying that she's a 6, yeah, she's got a really good stack. Brian said, my wife a 10. Hey, I feel you, Brian. I feel you. I want to be optimistic, but the Vikings won't let me. Well, there's something to be said. Yeah, they do. How about one career playoff win? Well, there's good. If Kirk is a 6 and Case is a 3 or 4, well, Case the 4 that will throw it back and make Sexton. T-Bass, you lost. Mateo got the comment of the night. T-Bass always be winning with the comment of the night, but that one wins. I don't got no prize, but that one wins. No, she has to make food during the game. She wouldn't want to play. Well, there's that. There's this that. Oh my gosh. Kirk can't overcome this offense. No, he can't. And by the way, the Vikings can't fix the offensive line with him there because he's taking up a good chunk. Now, he's not the only one taking up all of the money. I'm not saying that, but that's kind of the thing. And by the way, let's look at Kirk Cousins' history real quick. When he was with Washington, they had a decent offensive line, but it wasn't great, particularly on the interior. They had good tackles, but not good on the interior. And the entire time he's been with the Vikings, they've had good tackles, but not good on the interior. Maybe because Kirk's a statue and he doesn't know how to move around the pocket has a little something to do with that. So 2 organizations and 3 general managers haven't been able to put a good offensive line in front of Kirk. Yeah, it's not Kirk's fault at all. What's the common denominator? If you drink a few, Kurt stacks start looking like a 9. You are correct. Let's be realistic. Kirk is 55 with a crap old line. He will get injured. Yeah. That's why I want to get him out of here too. To be like, hey, you know what? You've got a couple years left. Let's get you to a better team. And the Vikings can hit the reset. Kirk's the girl. He go with it too. Yeah, something like that. He's going to take a lot of drinking. We are about to have a 5+ sack day on Sunday and still lose. 5 sacks? Well, they'll blitz a lot. And the thing of it is that Andy Dalton, he's a statue. So we'll have the opportunities to, but he also is smart enough to get rid of the ball quick enough. But we'll see. Sodak kid in the building. What's up, Sodak? Good to see you again. My great like for Kirk was, huh? Put that one in again, Skull TY. I don't know what you're trying to say there. He certainly got enough money to happily. Yes, he does. All right, serious question. What are the possible mechanisms by which fans can directly motivate the ownership? It would require a viral hit. Honestly, stop going to games, which I'm not suggesting. But you got to hit the Wilson, the Waller book. They've got a successful business plan. That's why the stadium got paid off in half the time. They're making money hand over fist. And I'm not begrudging them that. Let me be clear. I'm not saying the Wills are bad owners. Red McCombs was a bad owner. He was El Cheapo after about 3 years. First 3 years, he was a great owner. And once he figured out he couldn't get a stadium, he slashed payroll left and right. I'm not saying the Wills are bad owners. I'm just saying that their mentality of let's do everything we can to make sure that we're not bad as our first priority versus making sure that we're great as our first priority. That's what I have a problem with. They have the wrong mindset. I did that one already. Excited for the episodes when the Vikings trade up for the number 1. Oh my gosh, Chad. We might not have to trade up that far the way this is going. But having said that, no, you're right. It will be lit. It will be party time. I wanted him to trade up to get Anthony Richardson so bad. As much as I love Jordan Addison. You tell me right now, if we had Anthony Richardson on the bench marinating and then he was our starter next year, JJ's going to want to leave if Kirk ain't here. We had Anthony Richardson sitting under the tutelage of Kevin O'Connell and watching Kirk Cousins for a year. Yeah, we would have been just fine. And JJ would have signed his contract already. If anybody who wants to think that it's being held up because of what are we doing with Kirk. But alas, Cousins can win the big one with a team around him, but no one can afford to build a team around. Thank you. How about no? I've been saying that for about 2 years. And when I say that, the Kirk stands call me a Kirk hater. Not really. I'll take Case and his limitations over teeth clenching Kurtz. Spazzes out 5 years. Anything. Yeah. I mean, it's 6 and 1/2 dozen. I think that if we had kept Case, but here's the thing you got to think about, though. If Pat Shurmur was still here, I would have wanted to keep Case, as I said earlier. But you put Case Keenum with John DeFilippo, you saw how disastrous Kirk and John DeFilippo was. It would have been an even bigger abject failure with Case Keenum and John DeFilippo. But I get your overall point. I like Case up here more than I like Kirk up here. Yeah, Kirk does have better arm talent. Let's not kid ourselves. But Case had that leadership. He had that moxie. When Mike Zimmer was talking crap about Case just laughed at him, but like, yeah, whatever, dude, screw you. I'm the one winning you football games, and you're going to tell me I got a horseshoe up my rear end. Okay, whatever. Case let that roll right off his shoulders. Kirk wouldn't cry about it. Kirk could be surrounded by all the pros at every position and have Justin Tucker at kicker, and he'd find a way. Well, I'm trying to give Kirk the benefit of the doubt because I'm not trying to be all Kirk's like Kirk doesn't suck. Anybody who's the real Kirk Cousins haters, the ones that say he sucks, the ones that say everything is his fault. No, that's not true either. The Kirk stands and the Kirk haters, with all, I'm not trying to get political or whatever, but it's like the left and the extreme left and the extreme right. It's like, I don't want to hear nothing either side's got to say. I'm the guy in the middle that says part of what you're saying is right and part of what you're saying is right, but part of what you're saying is wrong and part of what you're saying is wrong. I think that if Kirk was on San Francisco, they'd be an outstanding team. But either way, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I appreciate y'all still hanging with me here. I only planned on going for about an hour and 10, and y'all still hanging with me, so I appreciate you. Dad needs to ground Kirk. Dad needs to get a belt. Ow! Dang, Sodak. As long as it's not a switch. But I digress. I understand, and I mean, again, I'm sorry if it comes across as negativity. It's not. It's realistic. I'm not going to be Andy from Purple Lumen who's going to say, "Oh no, we can still get back in this. We can still fix this stuff, and we can still go to the playoffs because we can still win this great division." That's fine. If he believes that, sure. I don't believe that. And if I came on my mic and said, "Hey guys, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. We just need to clean up this. We need to clean up that," I'd be lying to you because that's not how I feel. And you know what? If the Vikings turned it around and somehow got to 11-6 after starting out 0-3, if they went on an 11-3 run to finish out this, I'd be like, wow, okay, maybe we do got something. But what have you seen over the first 3 weeks that leads you to believe that this team can go 11-3 or 10-4 the rest of the way? That's my comeback. What in the world have you seen from this defense that is mediocre at best, that is doing the best it can with the resources it has? What have you seen from Kevin O'Connell? What have you seen from Kirk Cousins, Alexander Madison, the offensive line? What have you seen that leads you to believe that this team could do a 10-4, 11-3 type run? I just don't see it. I just don't see it. All 11 defenders could pass out at the same time, and Kirk with the last second incompletion. Oh, Frozen North, you're hilarious. You are hilarious. Shout out Mr. Trey in the building, the real NFL fans. I'll tell you what, though, Mr. Trey. First off, everybody shout out Mr. Trey, first timer in the chat. Hey, y'all, reset. Hit them like buttons if you didn't. Wipe your feet at the door. If you don't already subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Help a brother out. But shout out Mr. Trey, first time. Everybody say hello. The Wills aren't NFL fans. No, well, they are, but that's not their first priority. They're billionaires. Their first priority is the same priority that any other billionaire has, which is to make more billions. Of course. And I don't begrudge them that. I'm not knocking them for that. They're huge Giants fans. They love the New York Giants. Before they bought the Vikings, they had stock in the New York Giants. I say that in air quotes. But no, they're huge Giants fans. And the problem is that they saw the Giants squeak into the playoffs twice, and they think, oh, well, the Giants snuck in and won a Super Bowl. We can do that same thing. I mean, yes, they're businessmen first and NFL fans second. But either way, shout out Mr. Trey. Appreciate you for stopping on by. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, dog. Great show. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, School. I appreciate everybody. I don't know if he's still in here because I know that was a couple minutes ago, but I appreciate you, man. Got the Peterson reference. Yeah. All right, I think I'm going to wrap it. Shout out Shane in the building. What's going on, Shane? Once again, Shane, you show up 2 minutes before I'm done. Just hit that rewind button and hit that like button. I appreciate you for coming on by. Thank you guys for welcoming Mr. Trey. And shout out to Caesar one more time, too. I mean, shout out to all y'all. I still got 25 people in the building right now. An hour and 45 minutes into this mess. Join me tomorrow night, 6:30, under the lights. If you want positive. Kirk Cousins can never do anything wrong, and it's always everybody else's fault. And I say that tongue-in-cheek. I'm only half serious. I'm not saying I don't mean it at all, but yes. Tomorrow night, me and Dave will simulcast 6:30. Don't know if we have a guest or not, or if he and I are just going to go at it, which is fine either way. I love my boy Dave. Don't get me wrong. We brothers in this. He's just more optimistic than I am. He calls me a pessimist. I call myself a realist, and that's fine. That's the great thing about America. Everybody have an opinion, and that's okay. But it might get interesting. Because, like I said, I don't just throw all the shade at Kirk. I throw the shade at everybody who deserves it. You go listen to this whole mess and tell me that I only said something bad about Kirk. That ain't true. But I'm also not going to let Kirk off the hook just because there's other things that are wrong there, too. I mean, seriously, spike the ball. will allow your team. Oh, we were trying to catch them off guard. Well, you caught yourselves off guard. You guys are winded because your receivers have been running routes to convert that fourth down. Take the 25 to 45 to 40 seconds play clock and catch your breath and get organized and huddle up and allow the crowd to get quiet if you can't hear. I'm still pissed off about that crap. Oh, the fans were too loud because they cheered because we got a fourth down. Get out of here with that already. Get out of here. I appreciate you, Shane. I appreciate all y'all. That's going to wrap it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get up out of here. And we'll do this all again tomorrow night, 6:30. I will be on Thursday night around 8:15 during halftime of the Thursday night football game to start my preview for the weekend. And, of course, Sunday morning at 11 o'clock for the pregame show. So you got me Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Sunday morning, and Sunday night. We'll be rapping for days. Me and Rap will do the cleanup. Hopefully the Vikings get this W. Because despite the fact that I just got done talking about, hey, it's time to go into a different direction and figure stuff out, we still want them to win this game. Of course we do. But in all seriousness, thank you kindly as always, everybody, for joining me. Until then, until tomorrow night, SKOL to the next episode. Good night.